the recent lecture which got on the limelight. One of them was the presidential elections of US, and the whole campaign was totally based on fear, as I saw. And then there was the recent event of the 500 and 1000 rupees notes. So I could relate these two things with fear a lot. I would really like you to elaborate on this.
You see, mind can be taken as fear of many concentric layers. As you move from the surface to the center of this sphere, every successive layer is more deep and powerful than the previous one. The superficial layer is that of the conscious mind. Here our thoughts live. Deeper than this is the layer of the subconscious mind. Here our tendencies live. Emotions, habits. Then deeper than that is the layer of the central tendency, the primal tendency, the first tendency, the mother tendency, the I tendency, the aham vritti. And then at the center lives freedom from all tendencies. This you can call as the source or Atma or truth. So just for the purpose of explanation, I have brought up this model. Do not take it to be factual or representative of the truth. It is just a device. So we said that there are these four layers. Topmost is the conscious one, then the subconscious one, then the I tendency, and at the center lies freedom. Freedom from all layers, freedom from tendencies, which you can also call as the truth. What connects these four layers is two things. One, every successive layer would prevail upon the previous one. Every successive layer is more powerful than the previous one. In case of conflict, the layer that is deeper would prevail. Second, every layer gives rise to the successive layers. So, every layer is in some sense an originator, a mother of all the layers that come upon it, over it, after it. Getting it? So the truth, the source, is the originator of the I tendency. The I tendency is the originator of the other tendencies, and from all these originate our thoughts. Getting it? This is some kind of a theoretical framework. Fear is a very deep tendency. Fear lives related to the I tendency. That is why all scriptures, they state that freedom from fear is their objective. Because fear itself is the I. The fear tendency is the I tendency. So freedom from ego is synonymous with freedom from fear. Where there is ego, there is bound to be fear. Which means that firstly, fear would prevail upon all other tendencies and thoughts, because fear is very deep. It is the third deepest layer. And second, that fear is incurable except by the power of the self, the truth, the Atma, the source. Because only that is deeper than fear. Fear is deeper than everything else. Fear is layer number 3. So it is deeper than first and second layers. Anything that you do at the level of the conscious or subconscious mind would be inevitably defeated by fear. You may think of something, but when the moment of fear comes, then all your thoughts vaporize. You may have daily habits, but in front of fear, you will forget all your habits. So fear would easily defeat everything that is there in conscious, subconscious mind. It is a very deep tendency. Which also means that you cannot use thought to defeat fear. You cannot use resolutions or willpower to defeat fear. They will always fail. And that is why mankind has never been able to come to a solution of fear. Because whatever we do at the level of conscious thinking. Intellect will never have a solution for fear. Because the intellect by definition is at an inferior dimension compared to fear. Intellect is superficial, fear is far deeper. So you may try a lot of intellect-driven methods, thought-out methods, well-planned structures to fight fear, but all of them will fail in front of fear. Only the core can defeat fear, only the source can defeat fear. And their intellect does not work because intellect is so superficial and the core is so deep, deeper even than fear. So the only way to trump fear is to surrender. Now you will also know that if there are two choices, two candidates, two options, and one is talking about all the intellectual things, and the other is talking about all the visceral things, all the things that are deeply rooted within us. Which of these two candidates is going to win? Which of these two will win? The one who talks of the visceral stuff. There may be someone who says, vote for me and I will bring you development. And there would be another one who would say, vote for me and I appeal to you in the name of your caste, in the name of the fear of the outsider, in the name of the hatred of the unknown. This second candidate would always prevail. If you have to win over someone, if you have to enslave someone, nothing better than fear. And thoughts and ideologies and doctrines are no match for fear. Unless they themselves project fear, then they of course are. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
Every marketer, every advertiser, every campaigner, every pollster knows this. That if you want to get people to do what you desire, then appeal to their most basic tendencies. If you appeal to their intellect, to their thought, it would be a very superficial appeal. They may superficially agree also. They will, however, say that we agree with you, but we have to go the other way. They will nod their heads in front of you, but they will do what fear commands them to do. And have you not seen this? You talk logic and sense to someone. And when I say logic and sense, I mean products of thought. You talk logic and sense to someone, he may say, I agree with you. Yet I will do what my tendencies command me to do. Fear cannot be defeated by arguments. Arguments will simply not touch the heart of fear. They are not deep enough to reach fear and dissolve it. Fear, therefore, can be defeated only by the power of the source, the power of core. Love will defeat fear. Silence will defeat fear. Truth will defeat fear. If you want to convince somebody towards fearlessness, do not preach, do not teach. Your oratory will not help. It would just be bluster. Your love will help. Your compassionate touch will help. You may keep giving the sharpest arguments. It would be like throwing stones on the surface of a pond. The pond cannot be divided. The pond has a tendency to come together the moment it is hit. Are you getting it? So whenever you will have a campaign, as you had in the recent American elections, you need not even wonder who is going to win. The one who will appeal to the lowest tendencies will win. And that also tells you something about yourself. You must now know how you have been won over by the people who are there in your life. We all live a life in which we necessarily have given space to people in our life. A country makes space for its president, and individuals make space for their friends, lovers, haters, relatives, acquaintances. You must know how people make their way into our lives. Not because they are thoughtful or we are thoughtful, not because we really know them to be good for us, but because they appeal, I repeat, to our I tendency, to our fear tendency, to our ego tendency. A relationship based on thought will be a weak relationship. If your ideology matches with someone and because of that you are friends, this friendship is very fragile. But if you smoke with someone, this friendship will be deeper because now you are connecting at the level of habits, the subconscious mind, tendencies. So relationship based on thinking together will not be very solid, but a relationship based on drinking together will be very solid. And even more solid than these two tendencies will be a relationship based on sleeping together. Layers 1, 2 and 3. Layer 1 means thinking together, level 2 means drinking together, level 3 means sleeping together. If a man is sleeping with a woman or a woman is sleeping with a man, you cannot convince him against the other person. The affinity will be very, very strong, extremely strong. The only thing that can now prevail over this sleeping together is the love of God. That is the only force that can now be one up over all these. Hence, it requires the greatest courage to teach your husband or wife. Because the only force higher than sleeping together is reflecting together. You cannot teach your wife. You have slept with her so often. At the level of thought, there is no way you can help her. Hence, only a deeply spiritual man will attempt to teach his wife. Otherwise, it is impossible. If you are not spiritual, it is impossible. And vice versa, obviously. The wife cannot teach the husband. She can dominate the husband, control the husband, but she cannot really help the husband. To really help the husband, the wife has to be deeply spiritual. Only the power of the core, only the power of the center prevails over fear. Otherwise, fear is the Lord, fear is the master. Fear is the engine, the fuel, the runner, the controller of this universe. Nothing is higher than fear except God. Nothing at all is higher than fear.
What does surrender means and what it does not?
Who has to surrender, you see? We talked of the 4 levels. Which of these levels does not want to surrender?
Thoughts.
So they have to surrender. And why will they surrender? They will surrender when they see that they cannot accomplish on their own what they want to. They will surrender when they will see that surrender is in their own self-interest. Level 1 is trying to fight level 4 by using tricks, techniques, methods, ideologies. Can level 1 defeat level 3? Forget about 4. Can level 1 defeat fear? But fear bothers you, doesn't it? Fear bothers you. You want to get rid of fear? You have been employing thought to fight fear. When you see that thought cannot prevail over fear, then you surrender thought. This is surrender. The futility of resistance is surrender. Using 1, how will I fight with 3? And 3 bothers me. Then you surrender. Using 2, which is habit. And what kind of habit? I have been practicing meditation since 3 years. Now it is a habit. I go for pilgrimage twice a year. Habit. I keep reading the holy books every day, every morning. Habit. You very well know that 2 cannot defeat 3. So you surrender 2. When 1 and 2 have been surrendered, then you have nothing to fight 3 with. So now there is only 3. So you go and take refuge in 4. There is surrender. 1 and 2 are your instruments, your ammunition to fight 3. When 1 and 2 are seen as incapable, then you are left with no ammunition. So you are left only with 4. You go and hide there. That is surrender. Thought will not help. Methods will not help. Skill will not help. Practice will not help. When nothing will help, I am totally helpless. And this is surrender. When you have given up your trust in your cleverness, that is surrender.
Can we talk about the dance between love and fear? Because fear is, as you said, on the 3rd level, in the deep level, and love of God is the only thing that can control or take care of fear or make you fearless. Can we elaborate more on that?
Fear loves fearlessness. That's all. We are fear. Fear is our deepest tendency. And that tendency will bow down in front of nobody less than God. So God is the only one fear loves. God is the only one who can help fear. So nobody loves God more than fear. The more afraid you are, the more you will realize that the only help that can come to you is from the source, from nowhere else. This whole existence is nothing but this. Fear dancing its way towards fearlessness. We are fear. We are fear personified. Yes?
So this love is actually the solution or the truth that
Obviously. Nothing else is
fear
lovable.
itself.
Yes, nothing else is lovable. And you are very right. Truth scares fear. Fear is afraid of truth. Fear is fearful of truth. Yet there is nothing that fear loves more than truth. Because fear is fear, and being fear, it cannot like itself because nobody likes fear. When nobody likes fear, how can fear like fear? So fear does not like itself. Do you like it yourself when you are afraid? Do you like yourself when you are afraid? So fear wants to move to fearlessness, but fearlessness is the death of fear. Hence, true love is a great diminishing, is a great dissolution. If you are really in love, it would mean that you are getting reduced. You are dissolving. In a sense, you are dying. And if in love you are not slowly passing away, then it is not love at all. Love is always a journey towards self-dissolution.
If I know that the people I love are going to die anyway, then why shouldn't I fear loving them? I mean, why should I love them?
Because they are going to
fear of
die.
death.
Because they are going to die.
You will also die.
Before they die, don't you want a moment of deathlessness? Isn't it horrible that you remain with someone for years, decades, and yet you have really not been with that person even for a moment? Death tells you the uselessness of time. Death tells you that howsoever long a period of time is, it will always come to an end. You may live for 2 years or you may live for 2000 years. There would be one day that would be your last. So there is really no difference between 2 years and 2000 years. So looking to prolong time is so very useless. Rather have depth in time. Howsoever long time is, it would anyway come to an end. Length can at best be a poor consolation. Have depth in time. One moment well spent matters more than decades. You see, people sometimes ask me, they say there are some who have newly come to you, and then there are we who are with you since 8 years, 10 years. How is it so that those who have newly come to you, they seem to be glowing, changing, radiating, and yet we who have been with you for so long seem to be just the same? This is the answer. Length of time does not matter. Depth of relationship matters. You may be with someone for 10 years and never yet have a moment of intimacy. And whenever there is a possibility of intimacy, you shy away, you run away to your home. 8 years mean nothing, nothing. It is the closeness of contact. It is how daring that you have been that matters. Length of time is such a deception. Are you getting it? Even time strives to come to that point where time stops. When you are with someone you love, you are constantly wishing for that moment when time would stop. Or, is that not so? So don't count the length of time. Any length has an ending point. Before you die, come to life. Before you die, dare. Dare.
Still enough us, I'm still struggling with the same question about realization. For example, there are a few people who chew tobacco and they know they would die chewing tobacco, and ultimately the stage comes wherein they would die, but they would still, there are a few people who would still continue chewing. Isn't the realization happening in that case that I'm
No, there is no realization. What you are calling is, as realization, is thought. At what level do habits exist? Number 2. So if something exists at the level 2, would 1 defeat it? Thought or argument or logic will not defeat. But 3 will defeat. So if someone is chewing tobacco, his habit can be treated with fear. So what do you find on cigarette packs?
Cancer body.
So if you want to get rid of 2, use 3. That is what Kabir said. Fear is very useful. To treat 1 and 2, 3 is very useful. But to treat 3, you have to go to the ultimate. You have to go to the source. Fear can be used as a device. Teachers sometimes do use fear as a device. If you are very habitually confined, then the teacher will employ fear. If you are found sleeping again, you would be fined. Now sleeping is a habit at number 2. And if you would be fined again, this is fear. Now this will be successful. If you forget again, you will be fined. Now this trick will work. This trick will work.